Hello there everyone, in this video I'm going to be going through the background information to the Nyiragongo Eruption in 2002, which happened in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So Nyiragongo is a stratovolcano located in the DRC. It's close to the eastern border, which is shared between Rwanda and the DRC. And the town affected by this eruption is the town of Goma, which is located to the south of the volcano. It is found in the Virunga Volcanic Park, which is part of the western branch of the East African Rift System. So, within the crater of Nyiragongo is an active lava lake, which actually formed in 1971. When this volcano erupts, it releases basaltic lava, putting the town of Goma at risk. During the year of the eruption, the GDP per capita in the DRC was particularly low. It was $175 per capita. And as you can see, since 1980 on this line graph, the GDP has been decreasing. Now, this is because of the political instability in the DRC after the 1960s, which was when Joseph Mobutu became president. In fact, from 1940 to 2003, the Democratic Republic of Congo was a site of Africa's First World War, where 5 million people lost their lives. Even to this day, many of the eastern areas of the DRC are still plagued by violence as various rebel groups continue to operate there. The DRC is a desired country. You can find many natural resources within the grounds, such as diamonds, gold, copper, cobalt, and zinc. Now, because of its wealth of natural resources, many people have desired the lands. And unfortunately, the people who have not benefited from this resource wealth are the local people. Standard of living and quality of life throughout history have remained low. The country is still an LIC, and children still cannot go to school in some areas. This vast country has hardly any roads and railways, so infrastructure hasn't been developed, and the health and education systems lie in ruins. Now, this is because in the early 20th century, the DRC was occupied under Belgian control. Many civilians were enslaved, and it wasn't until the 1960s that the DRC gained independence. Joseph Mobutu was president at the time. He in fact renamed the DRC as Zaire in an attempt to unite the civilians of the country. Initially well-meaning, Mobutu wanted to support progress. He wanted the country to develop. He wanted to unify the different communities within the countries. However, like many before him, he was soon seduced by the power and the opportunity to rule in a corrupt way. Mobutu's rule came to an end in line with the end of the Rwandan genocide. Rwanda, which remember is a neighbouring country, has also experienced much civil unrest. Now, the genocide was committed by a group known as the Hutus against a group known as the Tutsis. Now, when the Rwandan genocide came to an end, those who committed these crimes, Hutus, were forced to flee into neighbouring countries, one of them being the Democratic Republic of Congo. At this point, of course, it was known as Zaire. Since Goma is on the border, on the eastern border, which is shared between the DRC and Rwanda, It was a new home for many of these refugees. The problem was that amongst these refugees, these Hutus who were fleeing Rwanda, were the militiamen, those responsible for the genocide, who soon allied themselves with President Mobutu and began attacking Tutsis who had lived in the DRC for generations. So they had brought the problem from Rwanda into the DRC and were now committing the same acts of genocide to those Tutsis living in the DRC. Now, in response to this, the Tutsi government in Rwanda at the time sent forces into the DRC, overthrew President Mobutu, and assigned Laurent Kabila as the new president. Laurent Kabila was supposed to remove all Hutus from the DRC. His actions were criticised by the Tutsi government in Rwanda, and so they then sent in a new force to oust him. In response to this, Kabila, who was a Tutsi-appointed president after Mobutu, then called in the help from other countries, including Zimbabwe, Namibia, and Angola, which then started the 5-year war on Congolese land, particularly in the eastern area of the country. Now, it's because of these historical events that the DRC remains an LIC. Goma is a relatively poor town. The town is made of local people, those who have lived in the DRC for generations, but also there is a population of Rwandan refugees who live there. Now, the services in Goma still remain relatively poor. It's a particularly fragile community, and so the events of the eruption in 2002 had devastating effects because of this. So, what's it like today? So, although the war was declared over in 2003, the east of the country continues to be unstable. Many of those children who were signed up as child soldiers as part of the civil war are now adults and bear the scars of that turbulent history. So hopefully this presentation has contextualized the social and economic climate of the DRC at the time of the eruption. This slide here I'll leave on as it summarizes some of the main discussion points of this presentation. Thank you very much for listening.